There is an interesting lesson to be learned, and that is that children, they never have enough. And the teachers know that, and parents know that too. When I said stretching, I didn't mean for 15 minutes, I said 15 seconds. So I continue with that slide that you saw, that the word has changed, and the teacher is no more the bottleneck between the word and the children, because the children are immersed. I'm just showing these slides in case somebody haven't seen them. And that the world is changing rapidly, and also our strategies and policies need to change. Children are networked, and we need to approach the internet safety problem in a systemic way in which we engage all stakeholders, and that is parents, teachers, and children, and of course society at large. And we need research, and we need to exploit the media, and of course many others. And I said you can be creative, those of you who are teachers and parents, to find your own solutions. Also, there is a lot of information out there, and it's you shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. You have to learn to find out what is already there. For example, every country in the European Union has an awareness node, a hotline, the helpline, and there is so much information in there, and the purpose of that information is to support those who are new to the subject to get into speed. So don't lose your time trying to develop your own materials when there are so many materials out there. Just visit them, contact the nodes, try to adapt them to your own needs. There are also the networks of awareness nodes and hotlines, the InSafe and the InHope. And the depositories are enormous, and the people who work there are very friendly and very willing to help anybody within Europe, and not only. We have members that are outside of Europe as well. And the idea is that the material must be used and can be used by many all over the planet. So the next lesson to be learned from this little summary here is that use what is out there. Also, the Commission has a wonderful site with many materials, and a lot of activities and events and calendars. So in reality, if you sit in front of your computer for one day and go through these various websites, you will find an amazing amount of materials that you can use in your schools. So don't reinvent the wheel. Start from where the others finished. And the Safer Internet Day, of course, is the biggest event that takes place across Europe. And because it's a specific day, because it is supported by the Commission, because all the nodes across Europe are interested, this is a good target for educators to have. So all your strategies, messages, and whatever, if they focus on that day and maximize their effectiveness on that particular day, they will be most efficient. It's also like a deadline that you can put a milestone to your activities. Now, some little other ideas is that there are leaflets that have been developed by all the awareness nodes, and you can download them and adapt them. There are characters. For example, these two characters are our own characters in Cyprus. The Polish node has their own characters. The Italian node has its own characters. The Greek node. So many of these characters, they are free for you to use. Our two characters are cyber and ethics. Cyber is the boy, ethics is the girl. And the idea is that we have them in different postures, and now also animated, and also now in 3D. And we invite educators to send us an email, and we can share all of them with you. And you can use them in your classroom as objects with which the kids can then develop their own messages. So you can put voice to the characters, you can make cartoons, you can write essays and whatever. Because the media are so important, I chose to show you some video clips. There are video clips almost in every country. For example, this was our first video clip. Let's look at it very quickly, if it plays. Now this is what we call a negative kind of message. what happened here. Okay. And this is the German video clip. Maybe you saw it already.
Schmidt, Peters, Jansen, Hermanns. Is your son home?
Does it matter?
Yes, he's up in
because
his
I want to
room.
discuss it.
Come in.
I mean, millions of people have
Hi,
seen it.
it's classy
It
here.
plays also
Yeah.
in Cyprus almost
Well,
every
then
day.
we'll go up and try out some kinky stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Cool location.
Where's close?
There.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Is this little Anna? You've got a nice bunny. Come on, I'll show you a real bunny.
Now, this is what we call negative
If you will protect your
messages.
children.
And I want to show you also two positive messages. Because if we try to scare the children, it doesn't sell. There is a danger into that. And we received feedback. I mean, it's okay to stimulate the adults mostly, but not the children. Children are not scared. They don't know what fear is. So we developed, for example, this positive message, which is demonstrating the fact that the internet is so powerful. So there is no negative message on it, except at the end where it says the internet is magnificent, you just need to be careful. And there is also a Spanish that I chose to bring here. Maybe you saw it as well. Now the message in that, so I want to summarize that there are two types of messages that can go out, the positive and the negative. Those that aim to scare them and to alert them from the dangers, and those that are from the positive angle. You can use both. Now what you can do as educators is use all these TV spots, because they are played on televisions all over Europe, but you can bring them in the class. They are all free for you to use. So you can bring them in the class and have discussions and have your children discuss about the messages and what do they mean and what do they think about it and so on. So in summary, exploit what is already there. For example, create a page, put them on, discuss it with your students, let them develop their own. For example, in Cyprus, we have now 2 schools that are developing their own video clips as volunteers. So they develop their own scenarios with the teachers, and they are shooting them with cameras. Everybody has a camera today. Mentorship is a very powerful concept. Is when you assign one child to be responsible for another child. And it can be a peer or older child or whatever. But this is very powerful because it empowers the child who becomes the mentor to meta-think and decide how to protect this child. So you put them in the position of the parent or the teacher. And you can do this also with the difficult children. So you give them a more problematic child to mentor. And this makes them look at themselves as well. We talked about this. Be innovative and creative. I mean, you can create your own messages with pictures and so on. Now I want to spend the last 5 minutes of my talk in introducing you something new that probably you don't know. It's called, let me introduce it in a different way. The knowledge is already there. I mean, if you get 20 teachers together, or educators, or also a bigger group of stakeholders with parents and managers and Ministry of Education and whatever, police enforcement, they already know collectively a lot, but they don't know it at the same time and together, and they don't have a collective understanding of the situation, and they don't know what is more important. Now, this is a plan of the Agora in Athens. I don't know how many of you have been to Parthenon, but there is this plaza, this Agora, where the king was giving a subject for discussion every moon month, every 28 days something. And they were allowed to go there and gather and discuss, but they were discussing easy things. Now we have very complicated things. And when we have more than 2 people to discuss and decide about something, it gets complicated. And there is no technology, no methodology to support, say, 5 people or 20 people reach consensus and decide, okay, this will be the messages we will broadcast for the children. You know that group dialogues become unfocused, those who have more power, like the headmaster, might dominate the discussion. Discussions can go on forever. They don't converge. And of course, they are not democratic and not participatory. And there is a methodology called structured dialogue or structured democratic dialogue that allows us to do this dialogue, this discussion among many people in a much more democratic and participatory way, in a way that reaches results. And for example, we did this with the awareness nodes throughout Europe when we had one of our meetings. And we used a triggering question. I mean, that's the question that enables us to frame the subject we are going to discuss, and nobody talks outside of this subject. What are the obstacles that prevent us from engaging educators? So that was the question from the point of view of the awareness nodes. What is our problem as awareness nodes, and we cannot engage educators? Now, as you can realize, anybody has ideas. So when we went through the circle and collected all the ideas, all the obstacles, we collected 70 ideas. But if we are going to take action in one of these or two ideas, how do we decide which one to choose? And this is where the difficulty is. If you use the classic model of democracy and ask everybody to vote, say, on the ideas, those ideas that get most of the votes, they are not the most important. And we have proven this in over 100 situations. We call it the erroneous priority effect. And this is also a reason why democracy in general fails today. Because when you discuss an issue and you put everything on the wall, say, and say everybody votes 5 factors, and then the factors that receive most votes, the ideas that receive most votes, you take action on them, it turns out, if you do it more scientifically, that those ideas, they are not going to change the situation. They will not be influential. And as I said, we call this erroneous priority effect. The way to solve this problem, I'm going to jump a slide to make it easier for you, is because it's important to find out the relationships between your ideas. So it's not a matter of me thinking that this idea is more important than the others, but all of us together deciding whether one idea, if we do it, it will be easier to do another. So we ask this kind of question repetitively by choosing ideas randomly. And when you do that, you get an influence map, which means if I put my money on only 3 or 4 ideas, which ideas should I put my money on? And this is the decision of all of them together, because this goes for many hours. Now, when we did that, we got this map. Now, the way to read that map is that items at the bottom are those that are most influential. So if you have limited resources of time and money, you should put your money in those at the bottom. And always we have limited resources. So for example here, the main obstacle is that there is not enough ICT curriculums for primary and secondary schools. So this means that we as nodes, we should focus on developing materials that can be used by the schools or collaborate with the schools to develop such curricula. We in Cyprus, we now make a partnership with the curriculum development unit of the Ministry of Education to do that. So we took that result and we acted on it. And I advise you to do the same. Find out which ideas, which things, if you do them, they will be the most influential, and act on them. Now the two that are on top of it is IT is not an integrated element of the training of the teachers, and national projects are often too complicated, and teachers are not asked to cooperate and participate locally. Now this is a message for the authorities, because teachers need time and need to be engaged, like we said before. So if there are people in the room who are decision makers, that's a message you can get from the 27 nodes that did collectively this work, and they spent a couple of hundred of man-hours to do that. Which means that the IT must become an integrated element of the training of teachers and lifelong training, and that national projects must be simplified so that teachers can use them. Now we did the same one with an ideal collaboration between nodes and educators. So we asked another question. The new triggering question is, what are descriptors? Let's suppose we have an ideal collaboration between our nodes and teachers. How would you describe that situation? So people are around the circle propose ideas, we collect them, there are 79. We do the process like before. We try to find relations between two ideas at a time. And if there is a relationship, we make an arrow, which means the arrow means that if I make progress in one, it will be cheaper to make progress on the other. So if I have limited money, I put my money where it will be more influential. And we cluster them. I will jump this in the favor of time, and we get again a map. Now this map, let's look at it. We can look at the ideas that are under the red line, so the deeper levels, as we call them. Now, which are the things that are most influential? Maximize institutional support. Now this means that we need to work into convincing ministries of education that this work is very important and must be maximized. The other is listen to educators. Educators are very, very wise people, and it's wrong to have a hierarchical model and tell them what to do. Listen to them, make them develop, give them initiatives to do it. Internet safety must become part of school curricula. Internet safety should be part of teachers' academical training. So here the suggestion again goes to the authorities. So those of you who have the power to influence this, you should think very seriously about it. Internet safety is a very, very sensitive issue, and it should go into the curriculum of the teachers as well, become a lesson plan or whatever. Okay. Now, this is just countries that participated, to give you an idea that it's important that so many people work together for many hours, and this is what they came up with. Now, this kind of structured dialogue now can happen also in an easier way. Because of technology, people don't need to be in one room, so we have models in which we can do it faster. And if you want to become a structured dialogue expert, please talk to me, and I will guide you on books, on materials you can read, and also trainings you can have. This is my email, and visit our website, which is cyberethics.info. Thank you. No questions. No questions.